Welcome to Level Up with Pearl. Rewrite your story, reclaim your power. This podcast is for anyone who is ready to take back their life, to heal, break free from old patterns, and finally build a life that feels like you. I won't sugarcoat things or tell you to just think positive, because I've been where you are, exhausted, over it, wondering when it's finally going to be your turn to feel peace, happiness, and achieve success. If you're done with the bullshit, the expectations, the pressure to be everything for everyone else, while often denying even the basics for yourself, I offer you this space to step into your true, authentic self and create a life that aligns with who you really are. Each episode is designed to give you real, actionable steps to help you transform your life. And I offer a free resource every week to support your journey. You can download this or any episode's resource at levelupwithpearl.com. Now let's dive in and start rewriting your story so you can reclaim your power. Welcome back to Level Up with Pearl, Rewrite Your Story, Reclaim Your Power. I'm Pearl, and if you're new here, this podcast is all about rewriting the narratives that hold us back so we can create the lives we actually want. Today, we're diving into something big: owning your past, how to heal from old wounds. We all carry wounds from our past, some obvious, like scars, and others not so obvious, like painful memories or regrets buried so deep that we don't even realize they're shaping our choices. These wounds show up in sneaky ways, in the relationships we choose or avoid, in the dreams we talk ourselves out of, in the bad decisions we allow others to talk us into, and in the way we react to stress, rejection, success, or even the threat of success. One of the hardest truths I ever had to face was that healing starts with ownership. At first, that felt unbearable, like I was being asked to take the blame for things that weren't my fault or claim shame for things beyond my control. But that wasn't what ownership meant. So what does it mean? And how do we take ownership of our past without letting it reclaim ownership over us? Well, before we can get into healing, we have to be honest about what we're healing from. When we think about it, the weight of unhealed wounds covers everything we've been through. The words spoken over us, the way we were treated, the mistakes we've made, and it all leaves a mark. They say to leave the past in the past, but if we don't heal those wounds, they don't just sit quietly in the past. They continue to shape our present and control our daily lives. For example, if you were raised feeling like you weren't enough, you might chase success, but never feel satisfied or self-sabotage because you feel like you don't deserve it. If you were abandoned, you might push people away before they can leave. If you were constantly criticized, you might become your own worst enemy in every way, shape, and form. I used to think that if I just ignored the painful parts of my past, I could move forward. That if I just worked hard enough, proved myself enough, held everything together, then one day I'd finally be worthy, finally feel worthy. But that's not how it works. The Marine recruiter I spoke to all those years ago cautioned me that running away to the military wasn't going to make my problems go away. It would just give me new ones that I wouldn't be able to run from. I didn't understand then, but boy, do I appreciate his cautious rejection now. Wherever you go, there you are. You may run away to a luxurious life in Bali, but you'll be taking all of your invisible baggage with you. What we don't heal, we repeat. And for years, I believed I wasn't good enough because that's what I had been told. And because I believed it, I lived it. I sabotaged opportunities, overextended myself, let people walk all over me, and kept proving my worth to people who would never give me their approval. And the worst part, I thought that was just who I was. That nothing that I ever did or said could ever change things. That I would never be seen for me, who I really am, and that I just had to accept it. But my kids helped me to see that was a lie, a story that had been hammered into me, and one I had the power to rewrite. You have that power too. These wounds shape us, but they don't have to define us. The key to breaking free? ownership. Once again, ownership doesn't mean accepting or assigning blame or shame. It just means we acknowledge the truth of our experiences so that we can take back control of our narrative and finally move forward. Let's be brutally honest though, this process can feel heavy and trigger some intense emotions, which makes it also very easy to either get stuck in the past or induce ostrich mode, so we bury everything completely. Again, it's a cycle that keeps us stuck. The cycle we need to break if we truly want our lives to change. The real shift happens when we don't just want to see the patterns, we want to break them. And we do that by owning our story. But how do we own our story in a way that empowers us instead of miring us in blame, shame, and for some of us, PTSD? Number 1, acknowledge what happened without sugarcoating it or denying it. Many of us downplay our past pain. We say things like, it wasn't that bad. Other people have had it worse. I should be over it by now. But pain and trauma aren't a competition. If something hurt you, it mattered. If it still affects you, it still matters today. I've had people assume I couldn't possibly understand suffering simply because I smile, joke, and chose to stay as upbeat as possible. But none of us are immune to struggle, and sometimes the most injured among us are the ones wearing the brightest masks. We'll react differently, sometimes fighting against our stories in anger and frustration, other times burying them, pretending everything is fine. But denying pain, whether our own or someone else's, only breeds more negativity. We're all shaped by our stories, and while none of us can truly know what someone else has endured, we empathize with others through the lens of our own experiences. I once had a conversation with a child of Holocaust survivors who told me I didn't understand suffering. And while our experiences were vastly different, she didn't know my history or what I had survived, and she wasn't the one who had lived through the Holocaust. If we are comparing, yes, her parents had endured unimaginable horrors, but I had my own scars, and in many ways, she had been shielded from the same depths of pain that either her parents or I had experienced. Unfortunately, rather than being able to move forward together, supporting each other through the healing process, we ended up stuck in a battle over who was allowed to hurt. Pain isn't a competition, it's a shared human experience. And dismissing someone's struggles, even your own, just because they don't seem as severe as another's, doesn't lighten anyone's load. Instead, it deepens the wound, fueling resentment and bitterness. It isolates us and keeps us trapped in a cycle of comparison instead of healing. But when we acknowledge pain as a shared human experience, we open the door to understanding, connection, and true healing for ourselves and for others. No one gets to decide whose pain matters. If it affected you, it's real, and that's enough. So for this episode's first exercise, you'll want to grab today's resource or your journal and take a moment to reflect on past wounds. What experiences still influence how you show up today? Write down everything you can think of, and we'll work through these one at a time. Number 2, recognize the patterns that were created. Once we acknowledge our wounds, we need to ask, how have these shaped me? Do I self-sabotage when I get close to success? Self-sabotage often shows up in subtle but powerful ways, like procrastinating on big opportunities, downplaying our achievements, or convincing ourselves we're not ready, even when we are. Sometimes it's rooted in deep-seated fears of failure, but more often it's actually a fear of success. Because success means change, and change can feel uncertain, uncomfortable, and even isolating if we've spent our lives believing we don't deserve more or we lack a supportive circle. Maybe you've found yourself missing deadlines, talking yourself out of applying for that dream job, or backing away from something amazing just when it starts to work. If you've ever caught yourself thinking, things aren't going too well, something bad is bound to happen, or if I try and fail, I'll just prove I wasn't good enough. That is self-sabotage at play. And do you struggle with trust? Trust issues often stem from past experiences where trust was broken. Betrayal by a friend, a partner who let us down, or caregivers who weren't emotionally or physically reliable. Over time, this can lead to hyper-independence, where we convince ourselves we can't or shouldn't rely on others because it's safer to just do everything alone. But trust isn't about other people. It's also about trusting yourself. If you've been in environments where your feelings were dismissed, your boundaries weren't respected, or you were made to feel like your instincts were wrong, you may struggle to trust your own judgment. You might second-guess decisions, overanalyze people's intentions, or keep your guard up, even with those who have proven themselves trustworthy. The question isn't just, can I trust others? It's also, can I trust myself to set boundaries, recognize red flags, and navigate relationships in a way that protects and honors me? Do you avoid vulnerability? Vulnerability is scary because it requires us to be seen, fully, completely, and without the mask we've learned to wear. If you've ever felt like opening up is dangerous or that expressing your needs will lead to rejection, you are not alone. Many of us were conditioned to believe that vulnerability is a weakness, when in reality, it's the foundation of genuine connection. Avoiding vulnerability might look like brushing off compliments or downplaying your struggles so you don't seem too much, keeping conversations surface level to avoid deeper emotional exposure, distracting yourself with work, hobbies, or even humor to avoid uncomfortable feelings, or believing that if people really knew you, they wouldn't stay. But vulnerability isn't about exposing yourself to just anyone. It's about allowing yourself to be real with the people who have earned that trust. It's about giving yourself permission to show up as you are without apology. By asking these questions and sitting with the answers, no matter how icky you start to feel, how antsy you get, that need to just move and do something to get away from what you're thinking and what you're feeling, you can start identifying where old wounds may be influencing your present. Patterns give us clues about unhealed wounds, and once we see them, we can change them. Number 3, release negative emotions and rewrite the narrative. Shame isn't the only emotion that can keep us stuck. Guilt, fear, unworthiness, and self-doubt can make us retreat inward, convincing us that we deserve mistreatment or that change isn't possible. Sometimes it's loyalty or the fear of being alone. Other times it's grief for what could have been, resignation to a life that feels out of your control, sunk cost fallacy. But you are not your worst moments. You are not the pain that others inflicted on you. These emotions don't define you. They're just old stories, handed down or built from survival. And just like any story, they can be rewritten. Let's start with some of the most common lies we consciously or unconsciously tell ourselves. When you catch yourself thinking, I'm broken, replace it with, I'm healing. Your pain does not make you broken. Healing isn't about erasing the past. It's about learning how to carry it differently. You are not shattered. You are transforming. When you catch yourself thinking, I always mess things up, replace that with, I'm learning and growing. Mistakes aren't proof that you're a failure. They're proof that you're trying, learning, evolving. Every successful person you admire has failed. They just didn't let those failures define them. When you catch yourself thinking, I'll never be good enough, replace that with, I am already enough, just as I am. You don't have to earn worthiness. You don't have to prove yourself to be deserving of love, joy, or success. You are already enough, flaws, mistakes, and all. The moment you start believing that, your entire world will shift. And the best part is, it's all true. When you catch yourself thinking, I will never be loved, replace that with, I am divinely created and no one is exactly like me. I am just as worthy of love and happiness as anyone else. Love isn't about being perfect. It's about connection, authenticity, and being seen for who you truly are. You were created with intention. There is no one else who brings what you bring into this world. Your past may have shaped you, but it does not own you. You have the power to change your story, to step forward, and to reclaim your truth. One thought, one choice, one internal rewrite at a time. It's easy to look back on what we've been through and feel like those experiences define us. But your past is just a collection of moments. It's not your identity. What if, instead of seeing your past as proof of your flaws, You saw it as proof of your strength. Recognizing how our past has shaped us is powerful, but understanding alone isn't enough. Healing happens when we take action, when we start making small, intentional choices to rewrite our narrative. That might look like speaking kindly to yourself, even when it feels unnatural or undeserved. Setting boundaries that honor your worth, even when it feels uncomfortable. And allowing yourself to be seen, even when vulnerability feels terrifying. Every time you challenge an old belief, choose a new thought, and take a step forward toward healing, you are rewriting your story. And this time, you get to decide how the story goes. Healing is an active process. It's not just about looking back. It's about choosing how we move forward. So let's take this a step further. What are some real practical ways you can start healing right now? The first possibility is the most well-known. An oldie but a goodie, if you will. Write a letter you'll never send. If a past experience still holds weight in your heart, write about it. Say everything you need to say, everything you want to say, because this isn't for anyone else. It's for you. Who is the letter addressed to? Who would you confront? Or who would you like to make amends with? Even if you never intend to interact with them again, or it's simply no longer possible. What happened? How did it affect you? From your perspective, what was right and what was wrong in that situation? And here's the biggie. Can you find a silver lining moment in there somewhere? It may sound trite or maybe make you feel a bit upset, but finding at least one positive thing, no matter how small it may seem, can help you to release a chunk of the negativity and the glue keeping you stuck in that memory. It will start losing its hold on you the more you can focus on the silver lining or silver linings when this particular memory pops back up. Maybe the relationship was absolutely awful, but you got a couple of amazing kids or a great dog. Maybe it's finding the most perfect leaf you've ever seen in your life when you were taking a walk in the park. It doesn't have to be big to be meaningful or powerful. When you are done with your letter, decide, am I ready to release this? If you are ready, you can shred or burn the letter, forever releasing its contents and setting yourself free. If the answer is, I'm not ready yet, that's okay. Awareness and acknowledgement are the first steps. Just keep editing the letter until it feels right. You've gotten all the details and all the information down on there so that you can finally release the situation or the person. You can write that letter and dispose of it. Shred it, burn it, place it in water repeatedly. So each time you write a version of the letter, you dispose of it. And like an onion, you'll be shedding layers off of the situation or the relationship as you go. Do what feels right for you. If you have any concerns that someone might read this and you don't want them to, use a password-protected journal or make a hidden file on your device. Do whatever you need to do to ensure your privacy and your safety, while at the same time empowering yourself to work through some of these more difficult, heavy situations and relationships. Another great technique is to challenge limiting beliefs from your past. What beliefs from your past still influence you? 3 of the most common I've come across are, I have to struggle to be successful, love always ends in pain, and I'm not good enough. Write down any negative beliefs you hold about yourself, and then ask yourself, are these 100% true, or are they just a story you've been carrying? Then rewrite those beliefs into something that empowers you instead. If it sounds like what we discussed in Season 1, Episode 1, that's because it is. This is by far one of the most effective techniques I've used because it takes the fight to the source. Writing a letter is awesome, don't get me wrong. It's healing because you can dive into the details you may not feel like you can share with anyone else. It's the moral high ground, where this technique is the knockout punch you've wished you could deliver to that crab in a bucket that keeps trying to hold you back. It's like yelling, let me go, you jealous, unforgiving, crabby imitation crab cake, and then bam, popping that hater in the mouth. Metaphorically, of course, so you don't get into trouble. But still get the satisfaction of a quick and violent check. The next one is, as always, taking one small action toward healing. Healing isn't just about reflection, it's about action. If you struggle with trust, reach out to someone and share a small piece of your truth. If you've been holding on to self-blame, practice self-forgiveness by writing down what you'd say to a friend in your position. If fear has been holding you back, take one bold step out of your comfort zone. Healing isn't about erasing the past, it's about learning to hold it differently. It's not about pretending the past never happened, but about shifting how we carry it. Every step you take, no matter how small, is a step toward freedom, peace, and the life you actually want. So, what's one small action you can take today? Think about it, write it down, and let's keep moving forward. All right, sweet angel, that's it for this episode. Please remember that your past does not define you. The fact that you're here doing this work means you are already rewriting your story. Until next time, keep stepping into your power. You've got this. Thank you for joining me for today's episode of Level Up with Pearl. Rewrite your story, reclaim your power. I hope you're leaving with the inspiration and encouragement to take that next step in your healing and transformation journey. Even a small step forward is a step forward, and every change starts when you embrace the power within you. Don't forget to grab this week's free resource at levelupwithpearl.com to help you implement what we talked about. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review the show. Your support helps me reach those who are ready to rewrite their story, reclaim their power, and transform their lives, just like you. I'll see you next week.